Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Chris Corso, as you well know, is a regular on The Price of Business. Always glad to have him on the program, bringing some really timely topics to every single segment of the show. This week, we're going to talk about how the truck driving industry is changing and affecting us all. Interesting topic. You know, I got to tell you, as I get older, the more nervous I get around 18-wheelers. I didn't really notice them much when I was a younger man, but it seems like, there seems like there's a lot of rule bending that's going on. You know, we are all familiar with the Tracy Jordan story where he ended up becoming extremely injured because of a driver who went, 20 hours without sleeping. It's some pretty extraordinary things that are happening out there on our roads.
Yeah, there are. And, at first glance, you say, well, truck drivers, driving things across the country, products, and you first say to yourself, well, that's common, and you don't really notice it until you start reading up on it and you see a story like that, Kevin. And it's pretty startling as to what is going on.
Yeah, by the way, it's Morgan. I watched a little bit too much of, 30 Rock. I love that show. Yeah. 30 Rock was awesome. So, Tracy Morgan, talk a little bit about this topic. First of all, kind of give us a panoramic overview of what the situation is in your opinion.
Well, what's happening, in my opinion, is you have drivers, as you say, that are out there and they're driving, well over the hours that they should. And, the industry is... the powers that be are making some changes in the way they track their hours and what they have and their weight and so on. But they're getting a lot of pushback, and we represent a lot of clients a lot, especially in Arizona, where they're drivers and they're having their CDL licenses taken, the special license that allows them to drive commercial taken away. Mm-hmm. Because of some traffic violations and things like that don't really relate to what they're doing and driving across the country and so on and delivering all different types of commodities.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, Chris Corso is a leading defense attorney with offices in both Arizona and the Houston area, and love talking about the legal environment out there and kind of your interesting insight about it. So what would you say, first of all, is there a lot more rule bending going on now than historically, or are we just becoming more aware of it?
I think we're becoming more aware of it. To be honest, I see less, because obviously they're implementing this new system where they're an ELD, this electronic logging device that they want to put in all the vehicles, to track their hours and so on. And I just think that's a matter of technology and, the industry wanting to try to keep people safe and the drivers safe. And to be honest, Kevin, I think it's more to do with keeping them in their seats. I mean, you're losing a lot of drivers. They're putting about almost 100,000 new drivers on the road every year because they're losing them.
Yeah, you mentioned in some show prep before we got on, great notes that you provided for us, that almost 1 million drivers need to be replaced, roughly 890,000. That's very close to 1 million over the next 10 years. That's an extraordinary number.
It is. And, what it does is, I think it creates, the ripple effect of this. It creates more accidents. Because you got a lot of rookie drivers out there. And they just keep getting replaced over and over and over again. But if law enforcement is going to continue to ticket these drivers, one of the problems, Kevin, is you can lose your commercial driver license if you're in your own vehicle and you get a citation. If you're found responsible for that citation, you lose your CDL. And what's happening is the drivers are starting to say, I'm not doing this. I'm going to go find another, avenue here. Because I can't be worried constantly about them taking my license away, and consequently, that's what you have, almost 100,000 a year.
Are you thinking that it makes sense for them to look at making the laws more real world for truck drivers?
Yeah, I think what they should do, and again, I've been handling these kind of cases for years, and they should limit it to specific egregious acts in your personal vehicle and really, really hone in on what's happening when they're driving the trucks, when they're, transporting this. I mean, this becomes a problem. You're 700 billion worth of goods are being transported by trucks. So that's pretty much almost everything that we do, you know, and what you don't need out there is what you can't have drivers that are constantly looking over their shoulder either. So it's a balance of safety, okay, and, the ability to get the job done and to be comfortable in your work.
I tend to lose time when you and I chat. Real quickly, tell us a little bit about this California scandal.
Yeah, what's happening now is you have people issuing licenses, fake licenses, for around $5,000 a piece, and they're giving them to drivers that just aren't getting licensed through the state anymore, and that's the scandal that's happening. I have an idea as to why I think some of that's happening, but that's the crux of what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Talk about the role salary increases they're playing in the situation.
Yeah, I mean, because of it's just supply and demand. The lack of drivers, allows for more higher salaries. I mean, these companies right now are suffering because they can't get their goods transported in time. People are going overseas and not local, and it is a ripple effect. So that's why the salaries are being increased, and about 17% since 2013.
Wow.
So, yeah.
From a timely perspective, and I wonder how much, the Tracy Morgan situation, which got so much airtime, played a role in this, but the government just implemented a new rule this January. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, this is going to be what I mentioned before, the electronic logging device. This is something that's going to be put into the vehicles, to help drivers log their hours, and they feel that it'll combat the fatigue, them getting tired while they're driving. And there's good and bad points to that. The drivers don't like it. They want to handle that manually, and the companies don't like it either,
right?
Because they want to push their drivers. So, but that's what's being implemented right now, and it's going to go into every vehicle, every commercial vehicle.
Do you have any idea how many hours a typical truck driver drives? A week?
It varies because sometimes they're going from within the state and they're going, across the country. So that can vary from company to company and driver to driver. But I'll tell you, the hours that are being pushed, it's not so much the amount they're driving, but it's the amount they're all being allowed to drive. And by the way, just real quick, I'm not sure how I sit on this new rule because what they're implementing. Because I mean, drivers want to stop early sometimes, and we're not considering that. We keep talking about going over. What if they want to stop sooner? They're tired, and
right.
Companies are pushing them now, saying, "Hey, you haven't reached your mark there with the electronic device." So, it's a problem both ways. I don't particularly care for it.
Yeah,
to
interesting.
be honest.
Interesting. So, to me, it seems like incredibly demanding work. I remember there was a time in my life I thought I'd like to be a truck driver around 9 years old.
Yeah.
I'm glad I outgrew that when I see how much these guys make.
If you ever driven across the country, then I don't know, that idea probably goes away pretty quick.
Real quick. All right, Chris Corso, he's a regular on The Price of Business, and you can learn more about him at corsolawgroup.com. We also have great content by him, great article that he was involved in that I wrote at HuffingtonPost.com, plus USDailyReview.com, priceofbusiness.com. Thanks for all the great work you're doing in keeping our audience informed.
Oh, that's so great, Kevin. Thank you.
All right. When we come back, we're going to have much more for you. I do want to remind you, you're listening to The Price of Business.